Buongiorno and welcome. Thank you for joining me for another request. And today we have carbonara or carbonara. Now, full disclosure, this is only the second time I've made this, and the only thing Italian about me is my bicycle. But, I've done my research, and I think I have a good grasp of how to handle this dish. Now let's talk about the ingredients first. I have here about half a pound of regular old dry spaghetti. I've got 2 ounces of shredded cheese, and that cheese is very important. This is mostly Pecorino Romano, which is a sheep's cheese, which is nice and tangy. But to balance that out a little bit, we have maybe half an ounce of Parmesan, which is also incorporated in there, which is fairly traditional as well. About a quarter of a pound of a cured meat product called guanciale, which actually comes from the jowl of the pig. If you can't find guanciale, pancetta is a pretty decent substitute, and if all else really fails, then I suppose you could turn to bacon. But you'll make the Italians very disappointed. We have eggs here, and this is 2 eggs and 1 egg yolk. I'm giving you a recipe for 2 people. If you wanted to double it, I would double everything here except for the eggs. I would just do 3 eggs and 1 egg yolk if you're going to do for 4 people. And of course, pepper. But first things first, I'm just going to cut up this guanciale and render it out in a pan. So I'm just cutting these into, little strips. They don't have to be too small or too big. They will shrink a little bit as they cook, but it doesn't have to be particularly perfect. We're just going to take that guanciale, go into a cold pan, put that on the stove over medium plus heat. And as that guanciale renders, we're going to get the rest of the components ready, and all we need to do for that is take these 2 eggs and 1 yolk, just whisk them up. All we're doing is adding that to our cheese mixture, stirring it around, and adding a generous amount of crushed black pepper. Here's our guanciale, well on its way to being fully rendered, giving off a lot of fat and a lovely smoky aroma in this kitchen. Now that this guanciale is fully rendered, I'm just going to remove it from the heat. It's time to get going with our pasta. And here is our water, nice rolling boil, and of course it is salty like the sea. I'm dropping my pasta in there. And when you first drop your pasta, it's important to give it a good mix, and don't panic if it doesn't all submerge right away. It will in no time at all. And just keep it moving. Because pepper is such a big component of this dish, I'm going to take advantage of the fact that we still have this nice warm pan going and all this nice warm fat, and just grind a little bit more pepper, and that'll bloom up really nicely in that warm fat. So we're about a minute out from the pasta being done, and what I'm going to do is just take a little mug, and I'm taking a little pasta water for myself. This is going to help us a little later. Another note on this pasta: sometimes, depending on the pasta dish that I'm doing, I'll take it out of the water just before it's perfectly at al dente, because I know it's going to cook a little more in the pan. In this case, we're not doing any active cooking, active direct heat after it comes out of the water, so I want to make sure it's just at al dente and no more. Alright, here we go. This is where we kind of have to act a little quickly. And don't panic, because remember, I already saved some of that pasta water. Alright, and now we're going into this pan with our guanciale and the drippings. Give that a little toss, and I'm going to let it hang out for like maybe 30 seconds before we go in with the eggs. That's just going to help make sure we don't scramble our eggs. All right, here comes the moment of truth. Going in with our egg cheese mixture. Scraping it out to make sure I get all of it. Tossing it Tossing it. Looking a little tight. So I'm going to add some of this pasta water. That seems to be bringing it there. So this is looking pretty nice, but a general rule of thumb I like to apply for pasta, it's gonna tighten up almost as soon as it gets to the plate, by the time it gets to the table. So add maybe just a little bit more water than you think you need to make sure it keeps nice and saucy by the time you're eating it. I'll give it one last toss and a stir. I'm trying to tweedle it as much as I can, which maybe is not gonna work. And on to the plate. And we'll just finish with a little bit more that pecorino on top. And a little bit more pepper. Thank you for joining me. I hope you found this helpful, and I hope you get in the kitchen and make it yourself. I just thought I'd mention I learned tonight that Lydia Bastianich lost her mother, who was a popular face on her public television series. And Lydia and with her mom there always made the kitchen always seem like such a warm and welcoming place to come and learn about Italian food. So I think Grandma would appreciate it if we reminded people how to welcome people to your table. Tutti a tavolo a mangiare. To you, Grandma.